It's Sneaky Hembo time. And Bob Carpenter, here's your question. Gus Malzahn, one of 3 coaches to beat Nick Saban more than once when Saban was #1 in the country. Who are the other 2?
Well, I'm going to go with Dabo Swinney being one of them, that being the most recent with Clemson. I think a lot of people, the other 2 thoughts, Urban Meyer, Les Miles. I am going to go with Les Miles.
And the answer is Urban Meyer and Dabo Swinney.
That's going to kill me. Urban's going to kill me now.
Sometimes just choose the most obvious answer. It usually is correct. All right, Bobby, stay there. I'll be over there in a few minutes to talk to you. Meantime, arguably the biggest game of the first 2 weeks of the college football season involves Auburn opening up a season against Oregon at AT&T Stadium. That's August 31st for Auburn. It's the first of many tough games on the schedule that include road games at Texas A&M, Florida, and LSU, plus home dates with mighty Georgia and Alabama. Now, Auburn has averaged 8 wins over the last 5 years, and our Football Power Index projects a similar outcome this season, giving the Tigers a 2% chance of winning the SEC. If they were to, it would be the first time they've done it since 2013. I want to bring the conversation then to SEC Media Days in Alabama, where we find the one and only Paul Finebaum. It's been far too long, Paul.
It has.
Let's talk about Auburn, one of the toughest schedules in the country. What do you make of Gus Malzahn's chances of surviving this season with the schedule he has?
They're not good, Greeny, especially with that projection. If he wins 7.6 wins or 7 or 8 even, I don't think he can make it because he's already under fire. Now, a lot of people are saying, hold on a second. He went to the championship game in 2013, 13 seconds away from beating Jameis Winston and Florida State before Winston sealed the deal. And then he went to the SEC championship game 2 years ago, beating back-to-back #1 teams in the country at home, Georgia and Alabama. But his problem was last year. Expectations were low. Expectations were high. They started the season #9 in the country. And then they just seemed to bounce all over the place. They lost to Tennessee, an unranked team, a team that went 5-7. And even though they had some moments during the season, it ended badly in the regular season. They won the bowl game. But boosters wanted to fire Gus Malzahn. However, the president at the time said, no, I just gave the guy a new $49 million contract, 7 years. Guess what, Greeny? That president got pushed out 2 weeks ago. Gus Malzahn does not have a safety net, and if he can't have a significant season, he will likely be gone. Okay, interesting. So the pressure on Auburn right off the bat. Let me get to the next topic here, and we touched on it before we brought you in. A quarterback that you know well, of course, is Jalen Hurts, formerly of Alabama. Now he's at Oklahoma. And that, of course, was the big topic at the Big 12 Media Days yesterday. And in something of a surprise, Coach Lincoln Riley would not commit to Hurts as his starting quarterback, saying he's got to win the job first. Here's more from Riley on that competition.
I think you coach them all as hard as you can. You try to get them as good as they possibly can. And then a guy that's been through a lot of battles. We've got 2 very young, talented players in there that are eager to make a name for themselves and get an opportunity at a young age. And so it's really, truly, may the best man win and let him go at it. And that's how we've always done it.
Oh, Paul Finebaum, does he have to go ahead? I'm giving you the floor. Go.
Listen, I sat here a year ago today, and I heard the same thing about the guy that won the Heisman Trophy, Kyler Murray. Listen, I understand why coaches say that, but it's absurd. It would be like Bruce Springsteen appearing at the Garden and say, I've got one more song, and he doesn't sing Born to Run, and people go, come on, we know you're singing Born to Run. There's always going to be an encore. And that is just not believable. I think it's disingenuous for Lincoln, who's a great coach, to try to sell that to the media. Jalen Hurts is going to be the starter just like Kyler was last year, just like Baker was the year before. And on top of that, he's going to have a great season. I think he's a legitimate Heisman Trophy candidate.
All right, so you like his chances. I do, too, and he's obviously going to be the starter. So a final question, Paul, why do coaches do that? Why do coaches not want to, a month before the season starts, acknowledge what all the rest of us know to be true?
They're programmed to. And interestingly, this week when Nick Saban arrives here in Hoover, Alabama, it will be the first time, I believe, since 2013 that he will have already named a starter. So he has done the same thing. They are wired that way. Listen, you deal with coaches every day of the week, Greeny. They're not like the rest of us. They don't think fans out there understand the difference when they try to sell us that garbage, and we do, and we say so, but they're just programmed, they're built that way, they coach that way, they don't want anyone to get in the way of their so-called process.
Well, we'll have some fun with Saban tomorrow. Nick Saban will join us live in this hour tomorrow here on Get Up. And you, Paul, are the best. I'll see you soon. Thank you, my man.
Thank you. Can't wait. Thank you, Greeny.
That's Paul Finebaum with us here. That's some football. Let's get to some basketball. The NBA's newest duo is in Houston. James Harden and Russell Westbrook. They will reunite, but both, of course, are accustomed to handling the ball. So the interesting question on everyone's mind is, how will these two work together? Well, one possibility is that Westbrook will be asked to play without the ball, something he didn't do much last season, and that is obviously something of an understatement. According to Second Spectrum, he used nearly 2,000 screens as the ball handler, but set only 4 screens the entire season. And Ryan Russillo is going to give us a closer look at that.
Yeah, so whenever I think about Westbrook off the ball, like I'll just think back to all the games that I watch and go, I don't remember him setting a lot of screens. Now, we got that number at 4 yesterday. We were wrong. So let's take a look at some of these. These are the 4 plays. That counts as one. So that's one of his 4.
That counted as a screen?
Yeah, so we'll go back and take a look at the play. We're not worried about the result here. We're not worried about it. This was considered a screen.
Okay.
Sometimes the track can be a little off. Here we go with Westbrook again, probing. This is a screen. That's a legitimate screen.
That's a screen.
So we're happy with that. So we got 1, really not 2.
Okay.
So here we go again.
That's the same play.
Let's take a look at it.
Right.
Yeah.
Okay, that's definitively a screen.
You could call that even a pick and pop.
And now what about this?
So in transition, where's the screen coming?
Hey,
There we go. A little handoff.
That's the screen.
Perfect. Paul George kicking it out, no longer with the team. Ferguson, that play is not legal. All right. So again, a legitimate screen there.
Okay, that's a screen.
So
Here's the fourth one.
Are we going to get the fourth? We do.
Okay.
How about that? He slips it a little bit. He said it, but he slips it. He's the roll man in that play. So those were your 4 Russell Westbrook screens.
Do I have time to bring Jalen in on this quickly? I just want to talk about this because, look, you're talking about a guy who's playing with Paul George, who's an MVP candidate. He's had 4 screens an entire season.
Kind of 3, though.
He's got a great, when really only 3 legitimate screens.
Well, a couple of things. When you're the athlete that Russell Westbrook is, don't you think that's on the coaching design to actually get him into more screening actions? Number 1, to cause help situations. Number 2, he's a point guard. Look at Mike Conley. Look at De'Aaron Fox. They didn't.
Yeah, Magic Johnson's not sitting there running hides. So I'm not turning this into this thing where you should set more screens. I mean, Curry is the best at this as a point guard
because he's a knockdown shooter. That's how you get open.
He'll set little brush. He'll do little things where he just gets in the way of the defensive flow here. But for someone who's going to be off the ball in a way that he's never been off the ball before,
Jalen,
it's just something.
What is it going to look like when James Harden has got the ball and he's up there, he's doing that step back 3 and he's dribbling and he's dribbling and he's dribbling? What is Russell Westbrook going to be doing?
A lot of times he's going to be screening for him.
Get out of here.
I know what it's probably going to look like this.
That's my point. Sometimes he's going to be screen. He's going to set 4 screens in the first game this year. Okay. The other thing, both of these guys are going to have to do double R that you didn't point out. This is really going to be a big point. Is cut in order to get shots.
That's more important than screening.
Correct.
Absolutely.
I think both of those guys combined to make 4 shots off of cuts the entire year. And correct me if I'm wrong on the number, but the point still exists. Setting screens and cutting is going to be paramount for those guys. And tempo, playing fast, getting steals, first and second in the league, getting long rebounds, triple